Alright, here's my latest project. It's a Toro Model MF engine. Probably late 30s, early 40s, might even be 50s. It's in pretty good looking shape. It's just covered with a layer of grease. It's obviously been used. There's a couple spots on here that I'm not exactly sure what they do or what they're here for or where things go. One of them being here, just a hole in the air intake. It looks like it's been cut, so I'm not quite sure where that goes. I've got a line, looks like a breather line for this gear. It's got a 6-to-1 gear ratio down on this end, and it's just a line that goes down to that, so I'm not quite sure where that goes because that certainly doesn't fit there. And then the last item, which is where this may end up going, I'm going to have to figure this out, is, I'm not sure we can see it from in here, but let's see if I can zoom in on it here. Where are we? There we are. Is that? Again, it looks like a line that's been cut, but that one is coming out of the block here. And I don't know what that is or where that's supposed to go. I can get my finger on it, and it does look like a line on the end. I'm not quite sure what that one's for. Other than that, it looks like it's intact. Looks like the carburetor's there. Most of the parts move. The only thing I've noticed so far, and it might just be a quick fix, is there's almost no compression whatsoever. I'm hoping it's just a stuck valve. So I'm going to have to take this apart and take a look. It does have oil in it. Obviously it's old and nasty. I like this. This is like cast iron. I don't, typically you have pressed in kind of little stamped. This is like beefy. It does have fuel in it too, which is good and bad in both ways, in a couple ways. One way being good that if something in here, it's probably not rusting. The downside to it is, where did it go? Not going to be a big deal to clean it up here. So I'll document the process. I was going to try and take as much video as I take this thing apart, but I don't have 3 hands, so I'll stop every once in a while and update on the progress of where I am. Again, it's a Toro Model MF engine. It comes off a Planet Junior tractor. I don't know if I can get the plate. That's the plate for the tractor. The plate for the engine. Let me put you down for a second. It's big and it's heavy. Let's see, the plate for the engine is there. Yeah, so it's missing the muffler, which is what goes here according to some of the pictures I'm finding online. There's not a lot of information online, so I'm going to take this apart very slowly, figure out what's what. It may be very interesting to find out what's what. Alright, like I said, I'll keep you posted as to what's going on. It's a pretty big engine. You see most people playing around with the older Briggs and Strattons and whatnot, and the little 1-2 horsepower, whatever they happen to be, 3.5 horsepower. This thing is a good 25 inches tall. I don't know. 16, no, 18 inches deep. Probably 18 inches if you want to count these brackets here. 21 inches with the mounting brackets that are on it. And my guess it's probably 70, 80 pounds. There's a lot of cast iron in it. So it's not like one of the smaller little jobbies I got back here. It's a Power Products Model 1000. That's a Jacobson something or other. Comes off a snowblower, weed whacker. I mean, they're all 2 strokes. That's another weed whacker engine. I'm trying to figure out how the heck to get the flywheel off. There's no spark. But this thing is much bigger than any of those. Much heavier. But I think it's going to be a very fun project. So hope to have you follow along here. Okay, we're back pretty quick. As I started, first thing I want to do is pull the gas tank off, get that out of the way because it does have fuel in it. And as I'm pulling these nuts off, they came off pretty simply. But I noticed real quick, I mean, I knew I had yellow on the gas can. It's kind of like a mustard yellow, as my wife would call it. But I hadn't been able to figure out what the color of the engine yet. Hadn't gotten through the layers of gook, but I don't know if I can get this. Let me see if I can turn a light on. There's green. There's green paint left over. So that's a better picture. It's kind of looking like a hunter green, but I've read online that it's an olive green. Not that I'm going to truly try and match the paint colors, but you know, the engine won't end up red or blue. It's going to be some form of green with a mustard yellow tank, and I thought that was kind of neat. You know, kind of that whole digging through the past and the layers to figure out what's what. Well, I thought I'd just add that in real quick, see how close I can get and keep it in focus. It's having problems. So there it is. Okay. Well, I made some progress at disassembling. Some good news and not so good news. Whatever this is, the fitting for it is snapped off, and it isn't open on this end. So I'm not quite sure what that was. Just I don't know. That's got me baffled. The good news is after I got this off, I can see that the intake valve is moving. And let me see if I can do this. There should be a line there. Can you see in there? Well, I don't know if you can or you can't, but the exhaust valve is not moving. So hopefully that's just stuck. Put some compression back into the engine, and we'll go on from there. I'm just going to continue to disassemble it because I want to clean it up. And as I pulled things apart, once again, paint's been making its appearance. There's more green in here, but this is more of an olive green than a hunter green now. And there's some black on different parts. Carburetor came out. It's pretty simple. And obviously it's going to have to be pulled apart, gone through. Air filter bowl with something in it. Obviously that's going to get cleaned out. But yeah, the one setback so far is that part right there. Not sure what this is, but that snapped off, so now I'm going to have to PB blast it and just see if I can force it out and then tap the hole and maybe just plug it. If this is plugged, like I say, I don't know what this is, so I'll have to figure it out. I don't know if it's a at one point I know that there were compression relief valves. Basically what you would do is you would, if you were hand cranking it, because this does have the ability for a hand crank, what you would do is you relieve the pressure in the cylinder so that you didn't get any kickback. Basically what you would do is you'd open this little valve, and as you would hand crank it, the engine would start to kick over, and then you would just shut it real quick, and the compressor would come back, and the engine would go into its running cycles. And that's my only thought until I get in there. I mean, it is sitting at the top of the head, and that's the only thing I can think of is it's some sort of compression relief for hand cranking, because it's on the same side of the engine. It was kind of in an awkward spot, so I'm not quite sure. But I don't think I'm going to hand crank this, although I haven't really figured out how I'm going to do it. I mean, the wheel over here does have I believe that's a spot for sticking a rope on it, so I may just try and do a rope start, and we'll see. Like I say, that's a minor setback in the fact that it's plugged now. I may just, as I'm doing this, just plug it again, making a mental note that it's there. Okay. As I figured, the exhaust valve's stuck. Everything else is moving nice and freely. Gotta figure out why that ain't moving. I'm pretty sure I know why. Probably a ton of carbon buildup. So, the piston wall actually looks pretty good. I don't see any major gouges. I don't see any gouges. Definitely don't feel any. Oh, piston wall looks good. And as I'm guessing, this unknown item here goes to a pinhole in the cylinder wall. So that would be my guess. It was a compression release to start with a hand crank. So yeah, for the time being, until I can actually figure out how that works, or if that works, I will probably just get that out of there and plug it. But I'm going to play with the valves here, try and figure out why the exhaust, or not figure out why, I'm pretty sure I know why. It's an exhaust valve. That's what they do. Alright, I got some of the flywheel off. Well, not the cover and the nut. Everything came off nice and neat. But I don't have the proper tool to pull the flywheel off, and I'm not going to pry on it with screwdrivers. It seems to be one of those easier three-eared pullers. So I may check some of the stores here. I don't know, Sears or somewhere. Maybe even Napa. Napa might have them. I might take a run out there. But that's where I am at the moment. It's coming apart nicely. I'm not quite sure how to take this gearbox off. Like I said, it's a 6-in-1. 6-to-1. And I took the bolts I thought were holding it on and hammered it gently, and it wasn't budging. So there might be something more to it that I'm not seeing at the moment. So I'm going to leave that. It's not too much in the way. I did a quick check of spark. I don't know how accurate this is, but I just take a multimeter. I stick the positive end in here and ground out the negative end and spin it. I mean, I know you're supposed to get like 10,000 volts, but I'm getting some voltage, so nowhere near 10,000 volts or whatever. But I'm getting some voltage, which is telling me that the coil's good anyway. The points will probably mean cleaning. If there's even points in here, I don't know what's underneath there. I have no manual, I have no documentation for this engine whatsoever, so my assumption would be that there's a coil, points, condenser all underneath the flywheel. but I don't know. The other thing I noticed is this thing. Not quite sure what that is. I want to take a guess, and this is strictly a guess, and I want to say it's almost like an advanced timing, that this is going to move something down there. At the moment, it doesn't go up and down. It doesn't go this way. It seems to want to go this way. And seeing that it's sitting right behind the flywheel, that's my only guess. I don't know. Like I say, I don't have a manual for this, so like any other engine I've pulled apart, I'm learning as I go. And well, that's where I am now. Let me unstick the valves, and of course I'm going to do a valve job on it. I mean, I'm going to probably pull this. Well, I don't know now. I don't know how far I'm going to pull it apart. We'll see. Okay. Alright, well, only took about 15 minutes to fix. I'll show you the fix. PB blaster. It squirted some underneath the valve, some in the exhaust port, some down by the springs. Tapped on the valve when it was stuck a little bit, and lo and behold, there it is. I'm going to let it sit open for a little bit more and do a little bit more of its magic and see what else it can eat and get rid of. But yeah, that's it. The engine's on an angle right now, just for the fact that it was pouring out of the exhaust port. So that's where I am at the moment. I'll let that sit. I think I'm going to run a Napa and see if they got something to pull this flywheel. Take a look. Other than that, I don't know, pick up a new spark plug, new plug end, and it may squirt some gas down the intake and see what she does. Curious. Alright. I'll be back in a while. Alright, this is where I've gotten. I've stripped the engine, pulled the oil pan off, letting that do the final drain to get it all out. Just parts, nuts and bolts, pieces. I gotta get sandblasted or blasted somehow, clean them off. The head is pretty good. Like I say, I've got this all working pretty well here. So I'm gonna definitely see how it runs. Once I get everything cleaned up, I'm gonna probably just put it back together real quick and before I tear it back down and lap it. I mean, it's only a few minutes to put it back together. I would think maybe half an hour tops. It's not like it's got to go back together for permanency. It's just to see if everything is working. You know, pile of nuts and bolts, fuel lines, valve cover, the pulley. The connection for the muffler isn't going to survive, so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'll have to come up with something, see what other people have done online. Although I haven't seen too many of these online, so I may have to figure it out on my own. Some of the parts I did get cleaned up. I got the electronics back, the electrical portion back, cleaned up the oil pan and plugs, the flywheel. Carburetor I just did an external clean on. We'll see how that works. I gotta, now that I can see what it is, I gotta go see if I can find a kit for it. not necessarily, it just seals. So I can take it apart and clean everything on the inside and just put it back together. It's a Tilson M20A. That's pretty good. I think I've seen those before. So I get to play around on the internet with that. But that's where I stand at the moment. We'll, like I say, we'll let that drain overnight. Finish draining, and then we'll go from there. I don't know if I'm going to pull the head off. I mean, pull the cylinder out. Not quite sure how far I'm going to take that right at the moment. I got some other things to do and think about cleaning and clean all these parts up. Alright.